Okay, so we're back.
Well, we never really left, although the last time we did this, you screwed up.
Yeah, what's your point?
Well, I can't remember what we have and haven't said. So I think we're both in very strong and weak positions. I think that you've obviously been proved right, so far at least, about Obama and Clinton. I think I've been proved right about the Republican Party.
So you think Giuliani is going to be beaten by who?
I'm not sure who's going to win, but I think a Republican Party in which a preacher from Arkansas who rejects Darwin is leading in Iowa with a couple of weeks left, having spent about 300 grand there, does reflect a party in some sort of disarray and crisis. Even you would have to accept that. I mean, let's say that Huckabee got nominated, which I don't suppose he will, but anything's possible. I mean, surely you wouldn't be scared of him. I mean, surely that guy isn't electable.
Well, if he got the nomination, he would be a huge threat.
To who? To himself? To the monkeys? Why would he be a threat? Who is going to elect a guy like that?
Guy, I mean, Huckabee, he's got to be your candidate. He's the, kill the bloggers, basically, right?
I don't think he has any position on the bloggers, does he?
That would be my point.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I think Huckabee is one of the more interesting candidates on that side. I thought
he's definitely interesting, and
he's
an entertainer, and I understand everything, all the reasons why he's popping up in the polls. But the fact that the party of Hamilton supposedly going for a guy like this is absolutely insane. The party that's always been professional and disciplined and focused, now at the last minute is having its head turned by some crazy preacher televangelist from Arkansas.
Well,
I mean, it just reflects the fact that it doesn't take a genius to understand this. I mean, it reflects the fact that there's nobody else. I mean, he wouldn't have made a run had there been a credible candidate. Right? I mean, Romney, as everybody knows, is a farce. Giuliani doesn't seem to be much less farcical. I still, and I know this is both obvious and unrealistic, but I still assume that at the last minute, Republicans will come to their senses and elect McCain. I think he'll lose an election, but at least he'll be a respectable, credible candidate. All the others are just idiots. They'll just make the party look stupid.
Well, if McCain gets the nomination, which I doubt, he would clean Hillary's clock pretty substantially.
Well, is that an abstraction or a prediction?
No, it's not a prediction. As you pointed out at the beginning of this, we both have our opinions, and you've already seeded mine as being, at least at the moment, more likely than Hillary. I mean, I don't...
Well, I'm not sure that's more likely, but it's a race now. I mean, it's a genuine race, and I think you were definitely brave to go for Obama when he looked as if he was out of it, where the thing was supposedly sewn up, and now clearly it hasn't been. What I don't understand, and I think this reflects media, is that a lot of this is just talk. I mean, a month ago, everyone said she had the thing wrapped up. I mean, really, what has changed, apart from the fact that she didn't have a particularly good debate? I mean, nothing has changed that much.
Well, first of all, at the risk of talking 1968 again, which, of course, looms ever larger.
Well, I'm going to talk about David Bowie, then.
Okay, that's fine. He was a little later, actually. I think he was 72, something like that.
Okay.
But the circumstances surrounding the rise of Obama and the collapse, or at least the bringing down to earth of Hillary, they reflect much more or much less on the media than, this is the sort of spin of the last election, which is that the Howard Dean scream psychology. I don't think that's what's going on here.
What do you mean? What is going on then?
I think that there's natural, Hillary's biggest problem is that a solid 45% of the population hate her guts. And you like her, but, and...
Well, I'm at least part of the majority then. If 45 hate her, 55 must love her. Or am I part of...
But that's why the scenario, there is no Perot. There is no... there's nobody to sort of come out there and create a third party kind of phenomenon, which is what Bill Clinton sneaked in on the first time around.
But again, even if that's the case, which I'm very suspicious of, I don't believe that 45% of Americans hate Hillary. But if that's the case, and Hillary was to run against Huckabee, or even Romney, or Giuliani, all of whom are joke candidates, who are so vulnerable on so many levels. Those 45% of people who hate Hillary, 25% of them will probably end up voting for her because she may be hateful, but at least she's credible. You can hate a woman, or you can hate a person, a candidate, and still recognize that they would at least be a legitimate, credible, responsible president, right?
Absolutely. I would vote for her over any of the other candidates.
I'm sure a lot of people hated Nixon and still voted for him.
Right, but they voted for him in the teeth of a choice between him and Hubert Humphrey, which was ridiculous. And that's effectively what the situation that Hillary is in is that she's the Hubert Humphrey of this campaign. She's an old guard, middle of the roader, at a time when Obama is getting a lot of traction by saying, we don't want Bush and we don't want another 8 years of Clinton either. And that resonates because people know that what they get with Clinton is they get, the Republican attack dog strategy, and they get Karl Rove up the yin-yang. And they're sick of it. And, the thing about Huckabee that's interesting is that he's kind of the Bill Clinton of this election, in the sense that, and I don't mean to suggest that he's going to go all the way, but he's, where Clinton was the first black president, but at the same time was also the first Republican president who won on the Democratic ticket. Effectively, Huckabee is, he's the man from Hope, same hometown, and he's running as a Democrat, but he's running on the Republican ticket.
So he's the first anti-Darwin president. Now, I accept the fact that Huckabee, there's something new and different about Huckabee. I'm not convinced there's anything that much new and different about Obama. I think he's just a slightly glossier version of so many Democratic candidates. What is she? We've had this conversation before, but he still hasn't said anything that radical. He still hasn't said anything or promised anything that certainly Edwards hasn't promised. And in many respects, his policy positions are identical to Hillary. That's why I think they're getting so personal, because they don't really disagree about that much.
Well, of course they're getting personal. They're running for president, for God's sake. What else?
Yeah, but there's no real ideological. There's not that much ideological difference between.
There's not a lot of air between the two positions, right?
And whereas in the Republican Party, there's a massive ideological gulf, say, between Huckabee and Giuliani, or between Romney and McCain.
There's so much here to go off on tangents about that I'm finding it difficult to concentrate on anything.